In a world that is constantly telling you who you should be, how do you find your own voice? How do you even hear it over all that noise? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. And we'll be taking some inspiration from the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung. So, let's dive in.
So let's just start with this question. Just let it sit with you for a second. It's a pretty powerful one, isn't it? Because it cuts right to the heart of what we're talking about today. That subtle and sometimes, well, not so subtle pressure we all feel to just conform.
So, where does all that pressure even come from? It starts with a concept you've probably heard of before, but maybe you haven't really thought about how it shows up in your own life. And that is the pull of the herd.
At its core, herd mentality is really just an ancient survival instinct, right? Stick with the tribe, stay safe. It's that deep, primal need to belong. But here's the catch. In our modern world, it often means we kind of outsource our own thinking. We just hand over our decision-making to the group. And a lot of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it.
And what's really fascinating is just how normal these behaviors can seem. I mean, think about it. Chasing the latest trend, staying quiet in a meeting because you don't want to rock the boat, maybe adopting a certain view because, well, everyone in your circle has it. These aren't huge, dramatic things. They're the small, everyday moments where we choose the comfort of the herd over the courage of being ourselves.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This herd isn't just some force that's out there. According to Carl Jung, its most powerful form is actually inside our own heads. It takes the form of an inner voice. Jung had a name for this. He called it the superego. And you can think of it like society's rulebook downloaded right into your brain. It's that collection of all the shoulds and should-nots you've picked up from your parents, your culture, you name it. It's that little nagging voice in the back of your head that's always asking, am I fitting in? Am I doing what's expected of me? And this right here, this is the core conflict that's playing out inside of us pretty much all the time. On one side, you've got the superego. It's driven by fear, by the need for other people's approval. It always speaks in shoulds. But on the other side, you have your authentic self. It's driven by your own genuine feelings, your values. It speaks in I feel or I believe. And the real question is, which one of those voices is calling the shots in your life? So this brings us to the goal. If the whole point is to escape the herd and quiet down that inner critic, what are we actually moving toward? Well, we're moving toward what we can call the sovereign self. Jung had this powerful belief that the most important work any of us could do was this journey inward. And this wasn't about being selfish. No, it was the opposite. He believed that a society full of conscious, authentic individuals is a healthy one. It all starts with one person choosing to become whole.
And let's be really clear here. Becoming a sovereign self isn't about rebelling just for the sake of it. It's about self-governance. It's about you becoming the ultimate authority in your own life, the king or queen of your own inner kingdom. You create your own code and you live by your own internal compass instead of constantly looking outside for directions.
Now, I know that might sound like a pretty tall order. Like, where do you even begin? Well, the good news is Jung actually laid out a practical path for how to do this, how to turn our attention inward. So let's walk through the steps together.
So, the path really begins with simple awareness. Step 1, just notice the pull. That's it. Then, step 2, you start questioning things. When you're about to make a choice, you ask yourself why. Is this for me or is it for them? Step 3 is absolutely crucial. You start listening to that really quiet, intuitive voice. It gets drowned out by all the noise, so you really have to practice tuning in. And finally, you act. You dare to express yourself in a way that feels true, even if it's different.
Okay, so we've covered the problem, the goal, and the path to get there. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last really important thought. Because this isn't a one-and-done kind of deal. It's not a switch you flip. It is a daily practice. It's a practice of choosing your own voice over the noise. It takes courage, and it's a process of constantly coming back to yourself, day after day. So let's make this real. Right here, right now. The journey starts with a single question. Just think about your own beliefs for a second. What's one thing you believe? Maybe not because you've really examined it, but just because it was kind of handed to you by the herd. And what might happen if you dared to question it? Just for today.